Hi everybody, this is Black Rhino Ranger. Um, it's a shame that it's been about nearly 5 years since the Skylanders people, Activision, Toys for Bob, or Vicarious Visions have made a new console game of Skylanders. Their last game was Imaginators. The only thing that's key, and it's been about over nearly 3 years since Skylanders Academy came out. The only thing that's keeping Skylanders alive is Ring of Heroes, and even so, Activision's more focusing on Crash Bandicoot. Don't know if I can say the same with Spyro the Dragon, the classic version. Now, many of us are still pondering whether or not what would Skylanders 7 be like. Now, fun fact: Skylanders 7, there was going to actually be a Skylanders 7 made by Vicarious Visions, the same people who made Skylanders Swap Force and SuperChargers. Unfortunately, it was likely scrapped in favor of Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy. And files within the Insane Trilogy have revealed some gameplay of some characters. One of them is called Blaster Tech, the other is Bruiser Undead, and the other is a Wrangler Fire. And you can see the gameplay by a person named ARD. So here's a bit of gameplay of. Here's a bit of gameplay of Brute Blaster Tech. As you can see, he's a rabbit with a vacuumish gun, and he fires dust bunnies. And he sucks them up like a vacuum thing. He's kind of like Bugs Bunny meets Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, in a sense. And he can shoot bunnies like a missile thing. Unfortunately, his gameplay was never fully finished. There was even an alternate skin of that. And the other one is Bruiser Undead. And he's like a hockey player, has a scythe, pucky puck, or stick thing. He is a bit like Hootsicle in a sense, and he bruises, he's a hockey player, or something like that, and he swings. He kind of reminds me of the lead character of the Mighty Ducks cartoon. And the other one is Wrangler Fire, and he's an elven or a humanoid on a fiery wolf. See, so that's basically what Toys Vicarious Visions was planning to make after the Skylanders Imaginations came out, but Crash Bandicoot, since they want to bring back Crash Bandicoot, they brought him as a guest character in Skylanders. They had a remake of him in the Insane Trilogy. They thought maybe they should bring back as much as they can. There's a bit of some reskins on that. It was all in the files. But it doesn't really quite explain what the concept for Skylanders 7 was going to be like. We all know the previous concepts. Spyro's adventure, Spyro is definitely featured in the game. It doesn't have much to do with him, but it does give you an idea what Skylanders is about. Going to portals, going to some missions and stuff. The Giants has its identity. It features the Giants from Skylanders, a team that was frozen 10,000 years and they've been back. And it's also got some Giants thing happening, like the Concatron, these giant Harkean machines, and other things big like that drilling robot. Swap Force doesn't have much to do with Swap Force, but they are there. The Swap Force has these levels of these swap zones. You can switch bodies and stuff. The plot doesn't really have much to do with the swappers themselves, but at least you get to play as the Swap Force and experience the challenges. The trap team, basically the policemen of Skylands trying to trap some villains. They use Traptanian crystals to try and trap the villains. You can play as them in the crystal, play as the villains in the crystals. Superchargers, you get to drive some vehicles and stuff. The plot, again, like Swap Force, doesn't have much to do with the store. The vehicle doesn't have much to do with the vehicles and stuff, but you at least get to play as some Skylanders and vehicles. And Imaginators, you get to play as it's all about creating and imaginations and stuff. You get to play as the senseis, you get to play as your very own created Skylanders, and etc. Now I have heard that one of the developers, one of the production engineers of Skylanders, did say that that they were planning a sequel or year 2 for Imaginators. And they were going to include four-legged characters, including dragons, give the opportunity for players to create their own four-legged Skylanders. Means you can make your own different Spyro, your own different Wrecking Ball, your own different animal-ish character on 4 legs and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it never happened. But we still don't know the true identity of what Skylanders 7 was going to be about. But recently, a person by the name of Jeff Bellio, who was a concept artist for Vicarious Visions, he posted this huge amount of artworks of some Skylanders artwork that he has done in the past few years. I mean, some of them are from the card game. Do you guys remember the card game Skylanders Battlecast? The one where you play as a couple of Skylanders, you summon some cards and stuff. Countdown had a bomb sombrero. Trigger Happy had some a gear getting card and stuff. Now, what I'm showing right now, some of these concepts are what he made during his time in Vicarious Visions. Not just recently, but also during 2013, 2015, and 2017. During production of Swap Force, SuperChargers, and even the 7th game before it was scrapped. So let's have a look at what this thing is about. So now this gives us a further identity of what the game was supposed to be like. You see they have Flame Slinger doing some flying and stuff going to some houses. This is from Swap Force, you can tell by the year. This is from SuperChargers. This is Persephone during the SuperChargers thing. It's Hugo. Now this is where I begin. So when I saved the file, the file name for it says 2017, meaning that these concepts were made during the production of the 7th Skylanders game before it was scrapped. And according to the person, so looking at this, you can tell that the Skylanders look different from their previous versions. Stealth Elf looks different, Hex looks different, even Ninjini looks different, and forgive me for doing this, but okay, what am I saying? What am I doing? Gotta get your mind off. Don't act like that, okay? Gotta keep a good image. Anyway, so according to this, so looking at this, we have from Ninjini over here, regular Ninjini, to this Ninjini. I can assuming that the next Skylanders game, they were going to age up the Skylanders. And here's another concept. You see we have Whisper Elf here, Stealth Elf here, and the concept for the new Stealth Elf. And Hijinks here, Hex here, and concept for the new Hex. So we're basically Skylanders 7 is supposed to be about aging up the characters. Although here's a little flaw on Jeff's part. The mini Skylanders were not supposed to be the baby Skylanders, as in this was not supposed to be baby Hex or baby Stealth Elf. They're supposed to be mini Skylanders from another world called the Miniverse. That's what the Lost Islands say. Although in the comics they say that they act like children, and yeah, and they do exist simultaneously with the Skylanders. So that's a bit of something he should have looked up. He should have looked on. Yeah, it's that again, the minis are not really the baby versions of the Skylanders. They are mini versions of them. They're completely different entities. But showing this anyway, so they were gonna, and it's not just for the core Skylanders. Like I shown you before, it has even Ninjini had it, and even Rex had it. It was going to be completely different. And you can see Rex has these spikes here, extra things, and an extra thing on him. So not only were they gonna age up the Skylanders, they were also gonna give him some new abilities, some new powers, some new updates. Not something like Skylanders SuperChargers, where the previous Skylanders got completely brand new abilities to match their vehicle attributes, like Super Shot Stealth Elf having a mini splinter gun instead of her ninja swords, or Big Bubble Pop Fizz using a tuba or a big trumpet thingy around him instead of his potions, or Gil Grunt having the Aquaman trident instead of his harpoon launcher. Trigger Happy still has his guns, and Jetvex has a scissory gun instead of his vacuum and something like that. But they're meant to upgrade on the Skylanders' previous abilities, the Skylanders' usual abilities. These were meant to be bigger versions, new animations, new powers, new awesomeness, or something like that. Something brand new for the Landers. And here's the last one. They were even going to age up Spyro. And something's a bit weird with this Spyro. Let me look at his previous version. This does not look like Spyro at all. This does not look like Skylanders Spyro at all. In fact, it reminds me more of this guy. And heck, he looks more like something else. In fact, he also reminds me of him, Ignitus, from the Legend of Spyro series. So, let me get this straight. The Skylander version of Spyro is meant to be the kid Spyro. And this one, which is meant to be the grown-up Spyro, is meant to be the classic Spyro? Remind me maybe I could do a little animation on that someday. Maybe I can use this design for Spyro's dad, or something like that. Or maybe when Spyro actually becomes older, I don't know. But let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a good design for a grown-up Spyro? Or do you think he should look more like this instead of this in Skylanders? Let me know in the comments on that. So anyway, scrolling down, you can see there's some contests from Swap Force and SuperChargers. And here's another. What I'm going to go through right now. It's nothing really to do with the next Skylanders game, but does give an indication of if they were going to continue with Skylanders 7, they might be reusing some of these concepts for later. Now, according to this, one of the characters is a chameleon, a kabuki chameleon. You know what kabuki is? It's a form of Japanese drama theater. These dances with the makeover and stuff. And she has a big hammer. And looking at that symbol, she's supposed to be a magic element. And I can say it's a girl because the eyelashes. And there are these designs of the Twitter pillars and some cactus folk. I don't think I remember seeing any cactus folk in Skylanders, but I did see a cactus enemy in Imaginators. And this is meant to be a life elemental slug. I'm not sure it's supposed to be an actual Skylander or a bystander, or maybe a little bit of a boost for Skylander. Because when I saved the picture, the default file name is called a boost. So Maybe it's a collectible for something. And there's some slug buddies. I'm not sure they were. They're probably supposed to be bystanders. They don't look very Skylander material. And over here is a lion harp, lion that has a harp thing. Maybe it's a bystander, but I can definitely see this Skylander worthy. He kind of looks a bit like Parsley the Lion from the Herbs. It's a show I used to watch as a kid. It was a stop-motion British series featuring many human or anthropomorphic characters named after the herbs. Like parsley, dill, basil, bay leaf, rosemary, Pajama Betty or something like that, or Sage and Santiago, Constable Netweed, even the scariest Belladonna, the Deadly Nightshade. And he also reminds me of Lion from Steven Universe. But that's all I'm going to say, because I dare not mention too much about Steven Universe afterwards. Now over here is according to this, is supposed to be a hungry worm chef. And you can see by the symbol here, it's supposed to be an undead Skylander. It has a big fork and has a tongue kind of like those xenomorphs from the Alien series. And I wonder if he was designed for SuperChargers or for Swap Force. If he was designed for Swap Force, that would explain the Greeble Master Chef from the bonus missions. Here's a brick girl. A girl made of bricks, hammers and stuff. I'm not sure if she's supposed to be a fire Skylander or an earth Skylander. Even so, I got a perfect song for her. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree, da 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 da. If I need to get on my Skylanders with different songs with the scrapped ones. You see, there's a cloud in the sky. I think this was meant to be Atlantis or Skylantis or the Cloud Kingdom with Lightning Rod. It's kingdom. This is an origami land where everything is made of paper mache or paper, something like that. Float farm. Basically, every animal floats around. And the elemental monk. This monk, he's able to move the thing. He's kind of like the Avatar from the Last Airbender. I think maybe they scrapped the character because they didn't want to rip off Aang, and they think he may be a bit too overempowering. But then again, we have Chaos in Skylander's Trap Team. He's able to master 8 of the Skylander elements. I mean, the magic symbol allows him to heal. The undead is the strongest. The tech makes it bounce a bit, or something like that. And there's some wax folk who are meant to be bystanders. They kind of remind me a bit of Lumiere. And this is a unique character. I mean, this is a female executioner. Yeah, original name. We already have an enemy called the Executioner in Giants. But when she removes one of her axes, they're actually part of her face. That's pretty unique. And this over here is named Spot, or is a leopard painting thing. It's like a leopard and it's got paint as feet. I think it's meant to be a prototype of Splat. And speaking of Splat, here's another prototype which you probably have seen in other occasions. And I think this one here was made as a response to the fact that one of the Skylander testers called out for the female peacock being inaccurate to the real thing. I mean, during production of SuperChargers, they were making a peacock Skylander, but they called her out. She called her out for saying that female peacocks are not colorful. They're brown. And she got one thing wrong. They're peahens. Collectively, a peacock, they are peafowls. So I guess this was made this was made in response to that comment and made the character a male or something, or maybe not, because there's a little bit of a, maybe it's a male because I'm not sure. But in the end, it just wasn't working, so they made the character a lark in the end and kept the female aspect. The Mud Buddies, or he's slimy and something like that. That they're conjoined. That's all I have to say. And the stained glass. I think this was meant to be one of those gear golems. You know the gear golem enemies from Swap Force, the fire gear golem, the earth gear golem, the vortex gear golem, the time gear golem. I think this was meant to be one of those gear golems, but they scrapped it. I can see this working as a Skylander. Why is he called Nightmare? Why is he called Nightmare? Don't we already have a Skylander named Nightmare? Well, anyways, this thing is like a unicorn, an undead unicorn. Because there's a bit of a mane, bit of a horn, has a face of a horse skull. Definitely nightmarish unicorn. Maybe as an enemy, but I can see also working as a Skylander. And here's another interesting one. Her name is a tech barbarian. She's her hair is like a bone, except it's a tech thing. She's like a cave woman, but she also has a robotic arm and a robotic leg. And she can use her robotic arm. She can detach her robotic arm and use as a weapon, as a club. So it's like a and tiger foxes. I guess they were meant to be either enemies or bystanders, but I can see them working as an enemy, as a Skylander as well. But they kind of look like the snipes from Crash of the Titans. I guess this was meant to be a bystander, as a tech robot with one eye. Yes, the statue of Lightning Rod in the statues of Lightning Rod from the Cloud Kingdom. Guess this was also meant to be something from the Cloud Kingdom or something. Let's count down there. It's called Sand Flows. A lot of sands. Must be the sands of time. Amazing. Yes, that's a clever pun you got there. Then again, almost every Skylander's name is a pun. And Spyro, even Spyro's name is a pun of spy and pyro. But man, this would have been pretty good. Then again, Dark Light Crypt had something like that already. Peaceful Sneak. This looks pretty peaceful and pretty soothing to use. But these faces, I'm not sure. The Plain Homes. They kind of remind me of something from. Lord of the Rings. Barnum's Architect. I think they're meant to be something for the Time Town or the Sky Scholar places. A mech ship. It kind of reminds me a bit of Mecha Bandicoot, except as a walking mech. Must be Skylanders mech stuffs. Was that supposed to be it? I don't know. The Greeble Gang is supposed to be like a baby. I think this was meant to be a family of Greebles or something, but I think they were supposed to have their own personality or something. Remember the Skylanders Academy episode? Who's your daddy? The Greebles actually have a family or something. I can imagine them having their own bit of personality. They can be villains as a family, but they can also be bystanders as a family too. Either way, you can ask which ones. Do they fit better as villains or do they fit better as bystanders? There's some Chompies that didn't make it, except this one. One was Boxing, one had tusks, one could run, one is like Frankenstein, etc. It was a development in Swap Force. The Krabby Baron, I think this character was made for SuperChargers, but they scrapped him because he looked a bit too fearsome or something. I mean, he's like a giant crab pincer, and he's chains with the hermit crab. And there's some designs of the other crabs. I mean, they're supposed to be expanding on Whamshell species. This is freaky. The Elemental Nightmare. So basically a character that's meant to be a fusion of all 8 elements into one. Let's see if I can remember which one looks like something. Let's see, that one is life, undead, water, tech, I think earth, maybe air, magic, I guess, and fire. Don't know about this part though it does look like a donkey-ish trigger happy. Remember my character Extramona, which I made from my my choose your ending animation of she looks a lot, she also had a bit of a Frankenstein-ish like feel, but I at least tried to make her as appealing as I can. There's some Cyclopses, some did make it, some Bumble things, I think they were replaced by Grumbles. They're like rock gnomes. Some tree folk ladies, some other tree folk, some more tree folk, some more tree folk. Those plants I remember seeing in Swap Force. Pies, lots of pies. And we have here these buddies. Now here's another indication, here's another clue to what the next Skylanders game was going to be like. We have this little rhinoceros beetle. We have this little fire thing with the hockey stick, which may have been a mini version of the Bruiser Undead from the video I shown you. This mole and this dragon, this Chinese dragon thing. Now this might be an indication that the next Skylanders game was supposed to take place in the future, and the Skylanders are all aged up and are training some new ones, and maybe these could be acting as the you remember the minis? Remember the mini Skylanders? Before they were minis in Trap Team, they acted as sidekicks, following around the other Skylanders, like Terabyte following Terrafin, Gilrunt following Gilgrunt. I can see them working in a similar way, except they're completely new characters. In fact, this one I can see as an assistant for Bruiser Undead. Maybe the buddies could help as a bonus or an assistant for the Skylanders. Maybe the next Skylanders game was meant to be a buddy pack or something like that. There's Buddy Busters or Skylanders. There's backup buddies or something like that. Maybe that's what was Skylanders. Yeah, I mean the Skylanders, they get older and they become the mentors of newer generations of Skylanders. Maybe that was it? This is basically based on Riptide's one of Riptide's abilities. Some things of whale or Leviathan volcano. The pizza head thing reminds me of Shrimp's Boob's backstory. And some floating rivers. So yeah, this and this gives us a clue to what Skylanders 7 was meant to be. Was it meant to be about the Skylanders aging up a bit and teaching some new the new generation of Skylanders what their goal in life is going to be like? Do they train? Maybe they're training these guys or training those guys or this guy or them. And maybe something like that taking place in the future. But I don't know what the gimmick is, but this does show a bit of an indication what the next game's story was going to be like. Maybe not so much with the gimmick, but what the story was going to be like. So that's all I have really. This is just, now keep in mind, this is all just theories. These are all just speculations. None of what I say is completely true in the slightest. But let me know in the comments what you think of all this. Do you think the next game would, if they didn't scrap the game, if they did not make the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy or the Spyro Reignited Trilogy or Nitro Fueled or It's About Time, and just continue making Skylanders until either this year or in another 10 years, this would have been one of the is that what the story was going to be like? The older Skylanders training a new generation of Skylanders or mini sidekicks or something like that? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video.